LeBron James becomes the all-time leading scorer. And when somebody has an achievement like this, it's something that he saw coming, and it's interesting to consider somebody's thoughts. In a moment like this, you kind of have some of these thoughts that have been going on inside of him a little bit. I thought we get a chance to look at his post-game interview. And a little bit of a warning is I haven't listened to this all the way through, so part of this will be a blind react, but we might have some little colorful language, so beware of all that. But anyway, it's exciting to see somebody break the record. It's always fun to me to see LeBron get another record where people re-engage in the conversation about the GOAT. And certainly that came up. I feel like yesterday at some point, Michael Jordan's name was trending more than LeBron's because so many people had to make it a point to say that Michael Jordan is still better, even though LeBron has this record. But let's go ahead and play the interview, and we'll get some spiritual perspective, of course, and then we'll get a chance to have a little bit of dialogue. So let's go ahead and listen to this. I have it sped up at 1.25 speed, so we should be good to go. And let's see what LeBron can teach us and maybe give us a few lessons, and we can tie it back to a few passages in the scriptures. Let's let it go.
We'll do the same as we did with AD. We'll start off with Spectrum.
And if let me know how the levels sound. If you're tuned in live, let me know how it sounded on your side. Sounds good on my side, but I want to make sure you're able to hear that.
We'll go with our beats, and then I'll take a couple from the audience. So start off with Maestro and
Hey, LeBron, over the last several years, the names, it's been Jordan, Kobe, Malone, and tonight Kareem. How does it hit you to sit atop that scoring mountain?
I don't think it has. I don't think it has hit me. I had a moment, obviously when it happened and embracing that moment and seeing my family and my friends and, people that's been, around me since I started this journey, even before the NBA. So, I definitely had a moment right there, very emotional, just to, knowing just, me be from a kid from a small town in Ohio. And I had a moment there, but I don't think it's really hit me on what just transpired.
So again, we pick up some of that humility. I think it's important because that is part of his character arc. When when he describes his story, a kid from Akron, where he came from, that's something he keeps with him all the time. Even like somebody like the Rock, Dwayne Johnson is somebody that will also, on an ongoing basis, remember where he came from. So that's something that LeBron holds on to, and it's something that I think is endearing to a lot of us as we watch. He remembers where he came from.
As much as I tried to live in the moment, it was kind of a blur. But looking back there and seeing my guys back there and being out there on the floor with my kids and my wife and my mom, it's a really cool feeling.
LeBron, specifically, what was it like to share this moment with your sons? Two basketball players, talked to them at halftime, saw them obviously out on the court in the locker room. What was it like for you to be their dad tonight?
It ain't about basketball with me when it comes to being a father. It's about...
Okay, let's underline that question real quick to make sure we're all on the same page. So your sons, we're at the game, saw the game. What does it mean in front of your sons? And so I want to underline that as we listen to his response. He said it's not about basketball.
Setting an example, being a role model every day. It's a 24-hour, 7-day a week thing.
Being a role model every day, 24/7.
Basketball has given me a lot. Has taken me all over the world. Has inspired a lot of people. But for me, being a father is something even way more dynamic, way more driven than the game. So I try to set an example by how I treat their mother on a day-to-day basis, how I treat their grandmothers, how I treat their little sister.
You hear that? My man talking about when it comes to his sons, the example he tries to set is how he treats women, how he treats their mom, the grandmothers, and their sister. Gotta love that, man. Love that perspective and thinking about the example he sets for them. And again, LeBron's been doing this, over 20 years as far as being in front of the media, 20 years in the NBA, and he's been in front of the media so much. So his media training is incredibly sharp. But even I love the content that he's sharing about it. And let's go ahead and tie in a passage. You know, we're going to tie in a passage to LeBron's perspective. We're going to go to the book of Titus today. So in Titus chapter 2, it's going to give us some perspective about an example. So let's go to that chapter. Here we go. Titus chapter 2. Okay, let's look at verse 7 and let's connect that. You know what? I'm a little too big. Let me see if I can shift that around real quick, or maybe I can move this. Is that good? There we go. Framed up. All right. Titus chapter 2, verse 7 tells us, in everything, set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness and soundness of speech. Come on. A speech that cannot be condemned, that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about us. But anyway, I think LeBron's given us a real life example to follow in him saying, I am purposefully, intentionally setting an example for my boys in how I treat women, so they're able to see that. And this is bigger than basketball. Come on. Let's let him finish. I'm going to rewind this so we get a chance to hear that full statement here.
You know, being a father is something even, way more dynamic, way more driven than the game. So, I try to set an example, by how I treat their mother on a day-to-day basis, how I treat their grandmothers, how I treat their little sister, how I treat others with kind and with patience and things of that nature. And hopefully I can just, instill life skills on them so when they walk out, in the real world, they'll be able to handle themselves like men, which they've been able to do.
A man said, I'm setting them an example so that when they're in the real world, they're able to handle themselves like men.
Thus far in their early stages of their life. So, basketball is just extra credit.
LeBron, there was a ton of anticipation leading into tonight,
and you got to give it to him, man. Like, basketball is extra credit. He understands what the real deal is, being a father. So much more dynamic, so much of a bigger picture. So, got to love that, man. Priorities, come on.
we get late in the third quarter, you're shooting it well, 34 points already, and it's the moment's upon us. You take us into it was one shot. You made the one shot to break the record. Was that a spot you were looking for? Did the play unfold before your eyes? What was the feeling?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I just played the game as it's supposed to be played tonight, as I've always done. Didn't press myself. Didn't, over exude too much energy. When it comes to, the record, I felt pretty good. I felt in a good rhythm. And once I get in a good rhythm, then I feel like I can make any shot on the floor. To break the record, I was able to get to a really good spot on the floor where I'm very comfortable with, and get to one of my patented fadeaway shots. And I know a lot of people wanted me to go to the sky hook to break the record, or one of my signature dunks. But my fadeaway was a signature play as well, and I was able to get it, and it touched nothing but the bottom of the net. And that was pretty cool.
LeBron, Kareem has been the steward of this record for almost 40 years. When he broke it, Wilt Chamberlain 9 of 10. What did it mean to you to have Kareem here tonight, watching the game, but also coming up and sort of having that ceremonial moment of handing off the record to you?
Okay, so before you answer this question, I want to give you a little bit of insight, or just a little bit of background. So Kareem has publicly called out LeBron for not being the example he should have been, and he's called him out several times in a few different articles. We won't get into the whole backstory, but previously when LeBron was asked about Kareem and his relationship with him, and LeBron said plainly there's no relationship. So it was one of those moments that, LeBron's well media trained. He has the background, and let's see how he responds to the question about Kareem. Again, he can be petty or he can be gracious. Let's see the direction he goes.
I think it's great for the game of basketball. It's we talked about for years and years and years. I'm a historian of the game, so I know what, guys like Kareem and Wilt and MJ and Magic and Bird, Oscar Robinson, Elgin Baylor, the rest, I can be up here all night talking about so many greats and legends. For me, personally, it's just an honor to be just named with the greats. Be in a conversation with the greats that played this game before me. That's some of the greats that's playing right now. And then there's going to be some greats that play, when I'm done playing the game. So it's just always just a surreal feeling. Me and my boys, my guys, we talk about it all the time, about how we used to watch these guys and how we used to compare these guys, or we used to think we were those guys when we would play, AAU or just playing around in the backyard, or whatever the case may be. And now we actually, up here with them, and my name is being compared to them, or whatever the case may be. So it's a surreal feeling for sure.
LeBron, everyone talks about.
Yeah, you got that humble response, LeBron. LeBron, he talks about it's being an honor being mentioned with the greats from the past and the greats from the present. Again, W as far as a humble take, but it's not going to stay that way. This so you all know.
Who the GOAT is? How would you describe the GOAT, and where would you put yourself in that conversation?
That's the question. Where do you put yourself in that conversation about the GOAT? And this has been one of those he's handled so many times at this point. I
don't know, man. For me, I think it's great barbershop talk. It's going to happen forever and ever. If I was the GM or whatever the case may be of a franchise that was starting up and I had the number one pick, I'd take me. But that's
all right, so here's the question for you, especially if you have the faith mind. Let me ask you: is that humble or is that not humble? Is that humble or is that number? So he said, if I was starting a franchise, we game with all the all-time greats, and he had the number one pick of all time, and who's the first person he would put on the team to start a franchise? And he said, "Oh yeah, that's me." Is that humble? Now, often you got to think about humility in a dynamic tension with confidence. And you don't get to this level without believing in yourself in probably in an extreme way. But is it not humble? And by the way, if you're curious about the definition, I pulled them up so we could read a few of them, because most of the definitions of being humble are something to the effect of a low estimation of oneself. So let's look at a few of them. Humble. Having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Another one is lower in dignity or importance. We're not going to do the anti-definition. They're just telling you something that it's not. Tending to consider yourself as having no special importance that makes you better than others. And we can go on, but you get the picture. So my question to you is you heard him say, of all the players of all time, and he had to pick one player to start the franchise with, he would pick himself. Is that what do you think about that? Is that a good thing? Bad thing? Is that a L take? Is that a win take? Is that a lack of humility, or is it a play? Is it a confidence play? Because again, he had a number of humble responses thus far. This one, he goes in the opposite direction, and I think he'll get a sufficient amount of traffic for this one, and a conversation about it. So let's let him finish.
It's just me, because I believe it's going to happen forever and ever. If I was the GM or whatever the case may be of a franchise that was starting up and I had the number one pick, I'd take me. But that's just me, because I believe in myself. I know what I bring to the table. A guy that's been able to transform his game over the course of 20 years to be able to play any position in this league and excel at any position. I can play 1 through 5. I've led.
Play 1 through 5, any position, changing my game over across 20 years.
The league in assists. I've been able to do whatever this
That's objective. Let the league in assists.
This game has wanted me to do, and also just transform my game as well. When I first got into the league, it was very slow. I remember we had a playoff game with Detroit where we was in the 70s. Finals games when we was in the 70s with San Antonio in the 80s.
Those games were rough to watch. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, those games were they're scoring in the 70s. Final scores. Yeah. So all right, let's let him finish. I'm over here interrupting a whole lot. I'm gonna keep interrupting. That's the whole point of this. All right, let's see.
To now, you're seeing a team score 150, and you have to be able to keep up, and more threes and things of that nature. So,
He does got that range. He does got that range now.
just being able to stay, with the curve and changing my game if I needed to, or just improve my game. But that don't take away from nobody else. I mean, so many great players has played this game and has last long legacies in this game. This NBA is a beautiful thing, and it's been some beautiful players to play it. But I can't take nobody over me.
Can't take nobody over me. I think there's something about that we go. Again, he had some humble responses, and that was on the other side of it, that extreme confidence.
LeBron, you have championships, MVPs, finals MVPs, and countless other accolades. Where does this achievement rank for you among all your basketball accolades?
I don't know. The championship sit at the top because I'm a team-first guy when it comes to understanding that you can't be great in this league without great teammates, great coaches that prepare yourself every single day to be great. So,
Okay, make sure we got that. Every single day, preparing yourself to be great. I'm gonna confess right quick that even with this stream that we're doing, I think there's a little bit of temptation to not show up tonight. I know it's a little bit later than I thought. It's maybe 2-3 hours later than I thought I was gonna stream. But to be able to show up, I think even as I was thinking about LeBron for this video, it did inspire me because of his consistency and preparation. Made me want to show up for this stream.
the championships will always sit at the top for me because that's just where I come from. I come from playing championship basketball since the first day I ever played organized basketball when I was 8 years old. So that would always sit at the top. I didn't set this was not a goal for me. That's why it's probably so surreal and so just like weird to me because I never ever talked about being an all-time scorer in NBA history. It's never even been a thought of mine until I guess I start seeing my numbers get closer and closer. I was like, oh wow, this is kind of crazy. This is it's weird, but I guess I can do it because I'm gonna be playing and I know I'm still playing at a high level, so it can happen. But I don't know where it sits.
I think again you get that humanity from LeBron of him being surprised at him getting real close when he says that wow in describing seeing how close he was and it being a reality. I think again, so if we're like monitoring kind of his play again, you have like some humble responses, and you have extreme confidence, and then you have again back to this, in all as it's developing before his eyes.
I've been able to do some incredible things in this league, and hopefully I can do some more incredible things before I'm done.
So then I've done some incredible things, again, getting that more than the confidence in, and then hopefully I can do some more things. Again, you get some of that again, he really has that balance between confidence and humility. Because it's both. It's both. You get somebody who's humble without confident. From my perspective, that person looks very insecure. The person confident without humility, that person is arrogant.
LeBron, right here. I'm going to squeeze two in, sorry. But one is, you gave a long hug to the Walkers as you were leaving the court. And, you've got a lot of people here tonight that have known you forever. What does it mean to you to have those people here? And then the second one is just, you had tears in your eyes when this, when the celebration was happening. Like, did the emotion surprise you? The emotion that you felt surprise you at all?
To answer your first question, I wouldn't be who I am today without the support of everyone that I got in town for this.
Gratitude is a reflection of humility, y'all.
I wouldn't want it no other way. And, Pam and Big Frankie are a huge part of why I can sit up here today and talk about this. They took me into their household along with their 3 other kids, at the time and made me feel like I was one of their own. Big Frankie introduced me to the game of basketball.
Me, man, I'm kind of getting emotional about the idea that somebody, they took him in and treated him like one of his own. And he's carried that gratitude all this time to make sure they were at the game. I'm feeling the tears kind of welling up in my eyes.
He was the first person to show me how to make a left-hand layup, and now I love going left. I feel like I'm a left-hand dominant player because of Big Frankie. He told me you will never be as good as you can be if you can't use both hands. So, and he told me you also will never be as good as you can be if you don't get others involved. So he just talked.
Getting others involved. Come on, give us some principles, Bron.
Taught me the game from a young age, and I've taken those skills not only from the basketball side, but also the accountability inside of the household. I'm doing chores every Saturday morning. My little brother's back.
Chores, come on. Got that responsibility from an early age, parents. Get them doing them chores.
Back there, he hated them. We hated him. I mean, we hated doing chores Saturday morning, but he was building young men. And
Really, hear that? You hear that? He had his, again, kind of this adopted father who was building young men. It's precious, man. That's very precious. Again, I want y'all to think about, you know, we sometimes that word religion is, or religious is bad-mouthed. But let's look at that passage, actually. The one that actually has the word religious in it, from James chapter 1, and see something that we were going to connect the dots with the passage with what LeBron's talking about here. All right, here we go. Verse 26 says, those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Okay, but he's about to give us the truth. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. So there's something good about religion. There's something good about religion. So let's not throw that word out. Let's redeem that word. And so when you see this individual that LeBron is talking about, he's giving him credit for building men by giving them responsibilities in the home. So make sure you grab onto that point. Let's go back to him.
And it don't stop there. You know, so many different people along the way. Coach Drew Joyce.
Going into the gratitude, y'all.
Is a big part of it as well.
I never met a grateful person who didn't have humility. So those things are often connected. They're twin virtues.
Drew was back there, and so just to have people in the crowd today that has been along this journey with me from day one, it is like I said, I wouldn't want it no other way.
LeBron, I can only imagine still trying to process all of this, but when you are maybe thinking about, I don't know if it's a future grandkid or a child who is looking up to you and what you've accomplished, the story or the moment of tonight, what is that one thing that is sticking out to you the most?
I don't know, Malika. I mean, that's a great question. I just think I love I write the man in the arena on my shoe every single night from Theodore Roosevelt. And tonight I actually felt like I was like sitting on top of the arena tonight when that shot went in. And
let's go look at that quote in case any of you aren't familiar with what he's quoting right there. So Theodore Roosevelt, let me type that in, man in the arena. Let's let him spit it to us. Here we go. It says, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of a high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Come on, man, in the arena. All right, let's go back to it. So if you don't know, that's where this quote's coming from. My man Rick, brother, showing up in the chat. He said, we'll even show you a little bit of love and get you in it. Show you up. He said, dope, one of my favorite quotes. Cool to know he writes that in his shoe every game. Yes, sir. And by the way, those of you who don't know, Rick helped me set up the studio. So a little bit of love to you right there, Rick. Appreciate you hopping in. All right, let's go back to LeBron over here.
The roar from the crowd. I'm not sure if I will be able to feel that feeling again, unless it's like a game-winning finals shot. But it won't be a stop and play. It's just, everything just stopped, and it gave me an opportunity just to kind of like embrace it and look around and seeing my family and seeing the fans and seeing my friends, and it was pretty cool. I don't really get to. I probably can count on my hands how many times I've cried in 20 years, either in happiness or defeat.
Okay, y'all hear that? I can count on my hand how many times I've cried in the last 20 years. He said on his hand? I mean, I could count that many times in the last week. And probably a couple of times on stream. But again, I think about that because in the personal development space, even from people who follow the Andrew Tate and his emphasis on stoicism and being stoic and not giving oneself into emotion, but we're thinking about when we're analyzing the greatness, and you're talking about LeBron in the top 0.00001% of athletes and 0.00001% of NBA players for sure. And he's talking about like all the criticism, y'all, didn't let it lead him to mess with him emotionally. That's something. Rick's saying something in the chat. Let me go over there. That's all you, brother. Appreciate you, man. All right. Let's let LeBron continue on.
So that moment was one of them when I kind of teared up a little bit. It was I can't believe what's going on.
Telling y'all, bringing that humility. I can't believe it. Again, he's living it live, right? He's live processing, fulfilling dreams that he didn't even fathom and comprehend. His goal he wasn't even chasing.
Tears.
Thank you.
LeBron, you've already said that you didn't come here to press, but we've talked about all the people that are here and all the emotion. You're dressed for the occasion. Did you come here tonight to make sure you set the record?
Well, yeah, because my boys leave on a red eye tomorrow night, so. Yeah. So, I just had the mindset. I had to have the mindset. And I dressed for the occasion, like you said, and I put on a headband because that's where the journey started. And I would have had to pay for another room in a hotel for another night for my boys. If I didn't do it tonight, they would have been there to stay till Thursday to try to watch this. So, I'm very smart with this. No, but I was tomorrow.
Again, you're talking about charisma, right? That's where his charisma's popping out. He's teasing about, again, this is a billionaire, y'all. A billionaire talking about, man, like, hey, I'm not trying to pay for another hotel for his friends, but he's again, it's that spontaneous charisma that probably wasn't in the notes, but just teasing about how it had to be tonight and not any other night. And by the way, he barely passed it by 3 points. I think he had 38, and he needed 36 to pass the record.
Tomorrow's not promised. And if I had an opportunity to do it tonight, and I was gonna try to make it happen. And I was still super efficient. I wasn't out there just gunning. I was still super efficient, and yeah, but I was able to get it done.
Hi, LeBron. Even though you and Kareem are different types of players and scorers, what do you admire about what he did, both to be a dominant scorer and have longevity in the league?
I like how they asked this question because, again, like they didn't seem to be best of buds in a lot of the conversation leading up to this. So he's kind of pressing him on this, on giving Kareem even more credit than he gave him earlier in the interview.
As well.
I think you just said it. You answered the question, man. He has the most unguardable shot in NBA history. And it lets you know how unguardable and how unique it is because nobody has ever even tried it. You have the fadeaway that MJ perfected. A lot of guys, have added to their games.
All right. So again, he's giving credit to Kareem, giving credits to MJ for the fadeaway.
It's a few shots in our game that's like unguardable, but there's only one that's nobody's ever tried to emulate. And you add that to his longevity, it makes him one of the greatest to ever play this game.
LeBron, you said, I never imagined that this is where I would end up. I wasn't setting out to do this. So what were you thinking that first night in Sacramento, if you go back to point number one, about what kind of player you're going to be and what was ahead of you?
What can I go back to that night? It was, I was super duper nervous.
All right. You get that transparency. Again, a lot of humility in his interview. Well, there's a lot of humility.
It didn't show on my face, but I remember just sitting on the floor, at Arco and before the game, and I was stretching, and there was a lot of rules that was broken that night. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was so many cameras on the floor while I was stretching that shouldn't have been allowed, but I was a new guy in town, so I get it. I was just super nervous. I didn't want to let my people down in my hometown, and I knew that.
Don't you gotta love that? He didn't want to let the people down in his hometown. Remember where he came from. He's thinking about the people.
The expectations that was on me that was like out of this world. I knew that, there were so many people that was looking for me to fail. And so I kind of bottled all that doubt from people and that
Okay, come on.
nervousness that I had, and just kind of like zeroed in and got back to saying, I know how to play this game. I was taught the right way how to play the game for 10 years before I got to that point, and I know for sure that it works. And I know a lot of people say, well, it was Little League, and it's AAU, and it's high school. But one thing I've learned being in the NBA over 20 years, that there's a lot of people not teaching the game the right way. And I knew
A lot of people ain't teaching the game the right way. And I like how he said he bottled up the doubts and used that to zero in, y'all. How about you? Who's doubting you now? How about you bottle that up and use that to zero in on your goals and what you're aiming at?
I came from a group of guys and a group of coaches that taught us how to play the game the right way. And no matter...
Brothers giving him a lot of love. Again, when you talk about giving credit to other people and how they helped you, it's a reflection of humility, man. I appreciate him being gracious like this.
How many times I've heard, or why didn't he take the shot, or why did he pass to an open teammate, or why did he do this, or why did he do that? I never waver because I know for sure that it's the right way to play the game. So the 18-year-old kid was just super excited to just start his journey, and I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I belonged, and I knew I could play in this league with the big boys.
Hey,
So again, the confidence. It was the confidence and humility that, again, he has that such a beautiful combination of. It's both. Like, I knew I could play here with the big boys at 18. And he looked back and remembered how many people had contributed to him, teaching him the game the right way.
Right here, LeBron. Congratulations. How do you feel about the all-time scoring leader logo behind you?
Oh, it's pretty cool, man. They should have added a little powder above my head, though. But I get what they were trying to accomplish, though. But it's just to see my name up there, my last name, and think about my family and my two uncles weren't able to make it tonight. Uncle T, Uncle Kurt, love y'all.
More credit to the people.
My family name is everything to me, and anytime I leave the house, I know I'm representing more than just myself. So it's
Every time I leave the house, I know I'm representing more than just myself. How about for you? When you leave the house, you know you're representing more than just yourself. That's why you get that passage in Philippians 1 about when you conduct yourself in a manner worthy of the gospel for the Christians out there.
A pretty cool thing. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, LeBron.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, you talked about being the man in the arena. You've been the man in the arena for 20 years now. Can you talk about a bit what this ride, I know the ride's not over. The ride still has a lot to go and many highs to go. What has this ride been like, and what was it like to reach this point in this ride tonight?
This ride has been it's been fantastic. You know, we have a place in our home, not our hometown, but not too far away from our hometown in Sandusky, Ohio, called Cedar Point. And every so many years, they come out with a new roller coaster. And we've spent plenty of times going up and just testing out the new roller coaster. And, you know, many highs, many loops, how fast it is, whatever the case may be, and you get off just feeling so much excitement and just feeling like I want to do it again. And I think my career has been like that. It's been like one of the great rides at Cedar Point in the sense that
My man, the poet inside of LeBron just used the illustration from the roller coaster to you know, again, no shade, no shade. But he is comparing his journey like that roller coaster.
You know, your stomach drop at times. You're excited. You're yelling. Sometimes you can't breathe. But you always want to do it again. You know, and it's been a pleasure and an honor so far in my career within these 20 years. That through the ups, through the downs, through the ins and outs, through the trials and tribulations, I've always maintained me, and I've done it my way. I didn't want to emulate anybody. I wanted to give praise to everyone that came before me.
Yeah, humility.
I wanted to acknowledge that I'm a historian of the game.
Humility.
But I didn't want to emulate nobody. I wanted to be myself. And, you know, if you stay true to yourself, I think you always feel better about the outcome, win, lose, or draw in life. So, but it's been great. It's been great. And I'm not going nowhere, but it sounds like I am. But I'm going to go get something to eat. I'm going to go drink some wine. And then I'm going to drink some Lobos.
Plugging his tequila.
I'm probably not going to sleep tonight. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all, and I hope y'all have a great time too. Appreciate it.
Whoops, wrong one. I don't know about y'all. I don't know. I mean, I got some different kind of vibes doing that review. Maybe I'll do some more basketball interviews. I enjoy that, analyzing that part of entertainment. You know, it's one thing to analyze them on the basketball court, but to analyze what they say. The passage that comes to my mind is Matthew chapter 12 that tells us, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you want to learn about somebody's heart, you pay attention to what they speak. You know, listen to them. You know, you pay attention, you hone in. What words are flowing out of them? That's a reflection of the heart, of their inside, of their inner being. And I think we got a chance to see so much of his humility and confidence come out that I think it gives us some great perspective on what excellence at the highest level requires. And it's both of those. It's not one or the other. It's not only humility. It's not only confidence. It's humility and confidence. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you on tomorrow's video. Peace.